And then, of course, you can see that the nose there, and that's a tooth. But basically, I want you to orient yourself as to what we're actually looking at. Because right underneath the brain is what's referred to as the olfactory bulb. And you see extending from that sort of a curtain or fringe of what look like fibers. Those fibers basically are the nerve endings of the olfactory bulb. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you in just a little bit closer. So if we get a little bit closer to this diagram. So now what you're looking at, and the top part, that's the olfactory bulb. What's so amazing about how God has created us is that you'll see across the bulb, almost, it looks like a wiring system, because that's exactly what it is. The nerves in our body, these fancy words like neural, and nervous, and neural, is basically the electrical system in our body, and how our body actually communicates within itself. But extending down from that little area that has the dots across it here, that's a very thin bone section of our skull. And extending through that, it's sort of like a scaffolding to support this nerve, these nerve endings, these wires that are coming down. And following on down the diagram, you'll see these guys. This is the membrane. This is the actual membrane, the outside surface. They use the fancy word epithelial. Every time you see the word epithelial, all I want you to do is just put the word surface in there. That's all that really means. So that's the surface, just on the other side of that bone. And then right here is where I want you to concentrate, right at the bottom of this diagram. You're going to find the olfactory receptor neurons, the wires, that make direct contact with the brain. It's that they are, if you will, the fringe, or these fine fibril endings. There are millions of them located just at the top of the roof of our mouth, right extending through, at the top of our nose, forgive me, and there is where the molecules of whatever we're breathing. So when the aromas, the odors that we're breathing enter through the nose, we're going to take the journey with them. They literally go up through our nose, and then they make contact with this extremely complex nerve endings. And the way I like to think of this is sort of like, they're like Legos. So when you have an aroma molecule like a phenylpropanoid of this, or a sesquiterpene, which is like a really big fry like this guy is actually going to fit very specifically into the nerve ending, a specific nerve ending, and as soon as it fits in like a Lego, an electrical current shoots straight up to the olfactory bulb and then directly into our brain.
That is so cool.
Of the five senses, I used to think like, well, if I was to sort of rate them, to be honest with you, I would have put smell like at the bottom. After this study, after spending the last 2 years studying this, smell has a whole new meaning to me. Wow. In fact, it is the only sense that has an exact, direct nerve contact with the outside world. It's the only sense that's that way. Every other sense has to go through a translation center and then to our brain. What's beautiful about odors and aromas is when they enter through the nasal passages and impact the olfactory bulb, there's an instantaneous message sent directly into the core of the brain. Let's look now, as we get a little bit closer to this wonderful system what we're looking at here now is if you could like flip this over for a minute. If you go, all of those little things that are sticking up there, those are the cilia. They're referred to as cilia. These are the nerve endings, which the aromas, as they pass over them, they'll fit specific ones and make very complex snap fits and then send this electrical message throughout our bodies. Now what's interesting is this cilia, these nerve endings, are encased in something that I now have a much greater respect for. This is mucus. God creates mucus to surround all of these valuable, wonderful electrical connections to our brain and then into our body with mucus. So for a minute, if you will just look with me at this diagram, the membrane is down here at the bottom. This is not the cilia. This is the actual structure, the chemical structure of the mucus. That's the only reason I'm showing you. It looks like a tree, the way it's all branched out. And it has that specific structure for a very specific reason, because it contains, this is why mucus is so critically important to us all. I had no clue that this was going on. Well, look at this. Contained in that mucus. Now, the diagram, if you will, this drawing, just to orient us all. At the bottom, there's your epithelial cells. Those are the surface cells. Now, those blue lines that are extending up there, that's that structure I just showed you of mucus. That's what it looks like. Now, if virus, those little particles that are star-like things coming at the top, if they try to get to that entire system, the mucus traps them. It's sticky. And it's designed that way to actually capture these virus particles, because sitting inside the mucus is a very, very important enzyme called lysozyme. Well, lysozyme is nothing more than a little Pac-Man. Basically, what lysozyme does is it has the ability to chemically bind with the membrane that surrounds the virus particle and literally cut straight through that membrane. The virus particle then opens up and dies right there in your mucus. So when the mucus starts to change color, guess why it changed color? Your body has captured some bad guy, Pac-Man'd it, it's dead, and now it wants to do what with it?
Get it out.
Remove it. So we blow our nose. So all of that is so beautiful to see, the simplicity of that, yet the complexity of all that. Because in addition to lysozyme, this is an enzyme, by the way, in addition to lysozyme, there's this other goodie. It contains immunoglobulin A. That's an antibody sitting in our mucus. Hello? How important are antibodies? Well, antibodies have been designed by God to literally kill any bad guys that try to get into our body. Well, the bad guys could get very easily into our body if we didn't have mucus. Just this sticky stuff to capture it. And once it captures it, it's caught in the system. The immune system is always up and ready to go.